John LFG, whenever you gonna get married?
Hey there, boys. I've got an interesting one for you here today. Some of you, if you are closer to me, may have heard about the alt I made when there was the free DLC on Epic Store with the Legacy Edition. With that, I decided to just make an alt just because I didn't want to miss out on doing so. I was going to use it as a camera account or something like that, or maybe I'd abandon it, but it didn't hurt to have. But I have decided to take it in a very specific direction, and I am now in the process of creating the most powerful Guardian Rank 2 in the universe. And before you get bored and say, well, that's not very interesting, it's probably just a normal account but without loadouts, there's actually a lot of restrictions at Guardian Rank 2, so let's go ahead and have a look at some of those. There is actually a lot of weird stuff that you wouldn't expect to be disabled, but are, for example, titles and triumphs. You're also not intended to be able to reach the seasonal challenges, which are a huge chunk of XP for progressing the season pass, which you do have access to actually and could even buy if you wanted to, but I want to keep this account free aside from the DLC that I got for free. Anyways, you're able to still reach seasonal challenges through an odd method. On the quest screen, it actually says you need to increase your Guardian rank. However, if you go to the journey screen, you are able to access them and open them and get the XP from them. And this is a huge deal because it gives us access to a lot of materials, and it also lets us increase our power level, which is very important. But now let's get into the biggest limitation, and that is going to be the lack of armor and weapon mods. That's right, you don't get to have any mods on your armor or weapons. That means no boss spec, no preserve mods, no surge mods on your boots, no ashes to assets on your helmets, no dexterity mods, nothing. Now this significantly limits our build crafting potential, and it also means that we're always going to have problems with ammo. However, there are a few ways to combat this. My main goal with this account is obviously going to be messing around in LFG raids, so what I really wanted to be able to do was still put up good DPS despite not having access to surge mods, which are their own category of DPS, and makes them extremely important. And oddly enough, the answer is Sanguine Alchemy. This is one that flew under the radar for a lot of people, and for good reason for literally anybody who has access to surge mods, so pretty much everybody playing the game right now. But if you didn't know, either last season or season before, Sanguine Alchemy was buffed, and it makes it so that whenever you are standing in a rift, weapons matching your subclass element will get 2x surge bonuses. While this isn't as good as the 3x that you could get from mods, it's still something, and obviously a 17% buff is much better than a 0% buff when you're looking at a multiplicative stacking bonus. While this does mean that I'm not able to use something like Rain of Fire to do damage quicker, it lets me keep up with total damage, and there's still certain rotations I can use that will increase my damage greatly. I honestly think that aside from ammo mods and surge mods, everything else in the armor mod system is pretty much completely replaceable and I could play without it with minimal effort. However, I'm going to have to work really hard to get around the ammo problem. I'm likely going to be using something like Cenotaph so I can get special ammo more easily. But I'll probably also have to do a whole lot of begging my teammates to make me heavy, either by using ammo finders on their helmet, or by using Cenotaph or Aeons themselves. And up next, we have the next major limit, and that is that we don't have access to most of the fragments for the light subclasses. If you didn't know, you only get access to 4 or 5 fragments on each subclass until you reach Guardian rank level 4, and you don't really get the greatest fragments. You do get 2 pretty good ones on Solar, in Searing, and also Resolve, which basically lets you set up a usable Sunbracer build, especially since we won't have access to momentum transfer. With this, we'll still be able to get melee energy and healing out of grenade kills, which is all you really need to make a minimalistic Sunbracer build. We can also use heat rises to get back our melee energy if we need that. And finally, there are a couple of odd miscellaneous things that you don't have access to. For example, you have to be Guardian rank 4 in order to enter comp. And the same is true of Iron Banner, however there is a loophole in that you can join another fire team and they can take you into Iron Banner no problem. Another little thing that is actually pretty important when you're on a newer account and don't have infinite access to materials is you cannot buy enhancement prisms and shards from Master Rahul. They actually require you to be a Guardian rank 6 for some reason, so you just don't get access to them, and you can only get the rarer materials from doing Nightfalls. Which is exactly why light level is such a big deal, especially since generally as an alt account I'm not going to be playing it as much as my main, and I'm just not going to be naturally getting a lot of levels, so I'm trying to do it as efficiently as I can. And the final limit is going to be a DLC limit. Because I only have access to the Legacy Pack, which includes Shadow Keep, Beyond Light, and also Witch Queen, I'm missing a lot of important gear, mainly the Forsaken weapons. For some reason, despite being older than literally all of the DLCs in the Legacy Pack, which is called the Legacy Pack, Forsaken is not included with it, and you'd have to buy it separately. And this really sucks because I'm missing some huge things like Izunagi's Burden mainly. Otherwise, we also don't have access to Lightfall, which obviously would give us Strand, which would be absolutely amazing for the subclass problem because I could just play Strand and it would be great. Although currently there's not really a lot of huge steel weapons in Lightfall when it comes to PvE, so that's not too bad. Honestly, the biggest deal is the lack of Last Wish loot, which obviously includes Apex Predator. However, there is a little bit of a loophole I've been doing. There is an out of bounds you can take in the Dreaming City Patrol, which you do have access to for free, which lets you get into the Last Wish raid and get one of the chests. So I'm going to have to run this oob over and over and over, week after week, to finally get a crafted pattern for the Apex. And in the meantime, I'm going to be leveling up my light level and going after the various god rolls and important raid and dungeon weapons that I can get. Chances are the main damage rotation for this account is going to be mostly Merciless and Apex just because they require a pretty minimal amount of reloads, and I've already had decent success not even having a very good Apex roll. So as time goes on, this account's going to get more and more powerful. Eventually I want it to be a point where people can immediately recognize that I am just a completely stacked Guardian rank 2 and people are just confused about what I even am and what they're looking at. I've gotten to clear a couple of raids on this account so far, and it's honestly been a ton of fun. People's reactions are absolutely hilarious. I literally named the account John LFG, so most people can tell it's an alt, but I'm not really trying to hide it with this. I mostly just want people to sort of see what it is and just find it funny immediately, like how I'm this completely stacked level 2. And I'm already kind of decently there, especially when I roll up with a crafted Eager Edge sword and a Merciless equipped. Another big thing I would love to do is to get double 100 stats, however that is very hard to do because I don't have access to any armor mods, so I can't use any mods to get there. That said, I definitely think it's possible because most of my armor is not great distribution and also in like the 50s right now, so I definitely have space to improve, and I'm already at 70 and 80 for resilience and discipline respectively. Anyways, this is kind of the direction I wanted to take my channel. I obviously really like making the informational videos and helping people out with learning new things, but I also want to switch to some content that can last a little longer. Obviously, once something stops being relevant in the meta, then the video is no longer useful. And while I have no intention of stopping those videos, but especially right now with things being so stagnant, I really want to get a little bit of entertainment content out there because I think that it could be a lot of fun. Anyway, if you're still watching, I'd love to see your thoughts in the comments as always, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.